It doesn't matter how many people come see you. It doesn't matter how big you are. You make one person unhappy, you failed. Every single person that walks through the door, whether it's staff, a guest, or anyone, our moral compass is everyone leaves feeling heard, feeling respected, and feeling beautiful.
Hi, I'm Faisal Karmali. Welcome to Karmali Exchange. Business owners need to help each other out. Keep on pushing to meet the needs of the customer will meet the needs of the business. I'm Faisal Karmali, and welcome to the Karmali Exchange. You know, there are businesses out there that are in the service industry, and generally you see a big difference in pricing. And so let me give you an example. There are salons in this city alone where you hop in and you get a $30 cut. I've seen as high as $300 or more. When you look at that, the difference in pricing, how do you make sure that your prices stay up? What's customer contact? What's customer experience all about? Well, I got to talk to one of the best in the business, serial entrepreneur, Wendy Bélanger, is also an international hair fashion designer. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Okay, let's talk about this, because in doing some research before you and I got together, I went around to a bunch of salons. Now, you got your franchise chain out there all the way to your smaller salons, maybe just one location or two locations, and you see a wide variety of pricing. And you're in the service industry. Some people consider it to be a commodity. That's why we get the $30 haircut. Some see it as more than just that. So walk me through, with all the years of experience that you have, why do we have such a wide range of pricing when it comes to a salon?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I've discussed it in a way that there's a place for everyone. And I think that our industry, like even in my salon alone, we have different pricing in there. And so what we do is we have different prices based on skill level and demand of the time of the service provider. And so I think that those key things take into consideration. I think that there's also an element of different kinds of salons. Like there's different levels of businesses that you go into. You have your people who do hair in their home, in their basement, all the way that you have, your high-end salons that are in, major, venues or in different parts of the city. Demographic takes control of that. I think there's so many moving parts with it. And I think that, if I'm honest, sometimes I feel like hairdressers don't give themselves enough credit when they price themselves as well.
I would absolutely agree with you when it comes to that. I think when you look at years on the job, the time it takes, the location that you're at, the experience that you're receiving as a customer or client, you end up paying a wide variety, and people are prepared to pay more for value. And that value is very independent. And I'll look at my business. One of my businesses, for example, we're about 30-40% more than the average advisor or average business. And now the reason for that is because, well, our element of experience is much higher. The detail, the work that we go through, substantially higher than the rest of the competition out there. And I've seen that with your salons, that you actually have a higher level of experience. So walk me through, for our audience, a whole bunch of business owners and entrepreneurs. Many are in the service industry. Wendy, what did you realize over the years of your experience that made you elevate that experience to demand the price that you're demanding?
Okay, so what I explained before is kind of like the gist of why things are different. But to be competitive in this market, especially at the level of what my salon's in, this is to give you an idea of how things work. So I'm a woman. I decide, you know what? I want to get, a balayage on my hair, which is like hair painting to lighten the ends. Very, very common with women. So I pick up my phone. I scroll. I go and I say, oh, this is beautiful. I like this. Oh, and you know what? The price is great. I'm going to go to this salon. I go to the salon. I get my hair done. I love it. Right? It's good. I think it's great, the whole thing. But now my phone, the way the algorithm goes, knows that I'm looking for balayage. So now I'm just on my phone on a regular day, and now I see all these balayage. So now I'm looking and I go, oh, I like her hair. That's good. Well, that price is good too. All right, I'm going to try that one. It's not that I didn't like the first one. I'm not loyal to the first one, but my phone's taught me to go and look somewhere else. So if you're not doing something to keep the guest in your chair or give them a reason to stay with you, you're going to lose them, because there isn't a sense of loyalty the way there may have been like back in the day. And so some of the things that we do, like I have 2 salons. I have a hair salon as well as I have a beauty bar. And so in our salon, we say you can get your hair done or you can experience influence. And what that is we take a typical salon visit and we turn it into experience. So everything that you expect when you walk in, we do something different. So it jars your memory. So when you walk into our salon, instead of somebody says, "Hi, can I help you?" You walk in, the whole salon yells welcome at the same time. It doesn't matter where they are. You hear the door charm. There's somebody, I'm sure, in the bathroom, in the staff room. They'll yell welcome. And it's almost that same feeling of when you walk into a Japanese restaurant, and they all yell something out. You think it's welcome, but you're just like, hey, like, you love it. We do that same thing. When you walk in, we have a concierge experience. So someone will walk out and say, welcome. Do you have a reservation with us today? And people are used to thinking of it as an appointment. But for us, anything high end that you do, you reserve time for. Fine dining, a room, a reservation for a trip, all of that. So we consider it a reservation. Everything we do, we take it to the next level.
The welcome alone that you talk about is such a different experience for every single individual. And what I mean by that, Wendy, is that it starts to connect the entire team with that individual. How did you come up with that idea? Because when you started telling me about this, when I heard about this experience, being a guy, being old, I thought of Cheers, and someone walks in and they all yell their name. That's where I got it. That's the norm, right? That's where I thought of it. So where did you get the experience or the idea for this experience?
Honestly, I think I probably got it from going into a sushi restaurant and just having, because I travel the world and I do hair, I have been in thousands of salons. And, service is service. It doesn't matter what you are having done or where you're going. It's all about the experience. And so when I say to someone, tell me about the best restaurant experience you've had, they'll talk about, the way they were greeted at the door. They'll talk about how, they paired wine with everything that I was doing, about how the chef came out and welcomed them and said, thank you for coming. And then if you talk about a bad restaurant experience, they'll always talk about how the person was rude, how, there was a problem with their bill and no one did anything about it. But what you'll find is no one will ever talk about the food. They don't ever talk about the food. They talk about the experience around it. And too many people focus on just the food. They don't think about it's about how you serve it. So with us, I tell people, I ask my girls, I said, what's your haircut worth? And our haircuts, they range anywhere from, I think, 50 to 180. And I say, what's your haircut worth? And they'll tell me what their price is. And I said, nope, your haircut's worth $25. And they said, what do you mean? I said, your haircut's worth $25 because you can get a good haircut for $25. Somewhere you're going to find a good haircut for $25. What are you doing to justify the rest of the money that you're charging? And what that is the whole experience around it. Like we do something that we don't have a waiting room in the salon. So when you walk in and we say, welcome, Faisal. And we say, if you look over here, there's a chair waiting for you. And there's an actual chair with your name on it. And it says, welcome and your name. So then you look, now everyone in the salon knows your name. Everyone walks by and says, welcome. Nice to see you, Faisal. I'm Wendy. Pleasure to have you. And so now you're going, everybody knows my name here. But no, it's written there for us to see. Everything is an experience. We don't have our own station. So you don't get into that feeling of you walk always to Wendy's station. It's on the left in the corner. Every time you come in, it's a different place you sit at. So every time you come in, it's a different experience. Every question we ask you is open-ended. Welcome. What can we get you to drink today? When can we see you again? Everything's open-ended as opposed to, can I get you a drink? Do you need anything? Yeah. We always try to take it and elevate it to the next level. And it's crazy because when people leave a review, that's what they talk about. They're like, I can't believe how well I was treated. I can't believe how well I was acknowledged. I felt like I was so special. And you can't put a price on that.
So what I like what you've done is you first took the concept of value, When you actually said you can get a very good cut for $25, that puts down the commodity of a cut. Now, what are you going to do to elevate the experience to charge way more than that? And that tells people in the service industry, you and I, that you have to actually show value and have an experience for them. You've borrowed some ideas from the restaurant hotel industry and you've brought them home to you. It's not normal in many salons to do the things that you're doing. So that experience gets elevated. So now your team feels we're worth this much. Can you imagine how many businesses in your industry alone that says, yeah, you can get this for $25, but we're going to charge you more than that anyways.
Yeah.
And so they don't feel like it's worth it.
Yeah. And they don't have anything to back it up. At the end of the day, when you say, what are you doing that's different? Oh, well, I'm giving a great haircut. That means nothing. Like, just because you're a good cook doesn't mean you can own a restaurant. I live my life by that. And just because I do great hair doesn't mean I should own a hair salon. It means that I need to figure out how to take what I do and make it an experience. And our whole thing is that value needs to exceed price. In anything that you do, the value needs to exceed the price. And if you're not doing it, you're misfiring. And so we teach our team from a very, very early in their career of, you're not very good at doing hair right now. You just graduated out of school and you're not supposed to be. We all started here. But if you're not doing something to make yourself stand out from everybody else, they're going to go somewhere else and you're going to struggle for a very long time. And what I want to teach my team is that you can do, have, and be anything you want from doing hair. But what you have to do is figure out how to sell yourself and what you're offering far more than anyone else. I don't think you know this. My salons are on 17th Avenue. There are 40 hair salons on 17th Avenue. On my block, there are 9. 9. And so people are like, what are you doing about the competition? And my thing is, what competition? We shouldn't be competing. There's enough to go around, but you have to stay relevant.
So Wendy, when I had the opportunity to go down the block and I also saw the competition, I did a bit of shopping with your clients and your competitors' clients. And I asked them, what's the experience like? And they mentioned 3 parts. Before my reservation is actually happening, at the venue, at the salon, and after I'm done. What have you done in your business that brings that memory back to that client, that customer, about what you do before the appointment and after the reservation is done?
Well, everything that we do, we call them touch points. And so we say, how many touch points are there from a salon visit? And so touch points comes from the very beginning when they go and look at our page on Instagram or our website and things like that. What are we doing there to capture their attention, and how are we making them feel welcome? When they phone, we offer our name first. Hi, thank you for calling Influence. This is Wendy. May I ask who I'm speaking with? And so then they say, oh, this is Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. What can I do for you? And so right away, they're using it. We're using their name when we're speaking to them. We make the reservation. We do our confirmation 2 days before to make sure that everything's okay. And we make them feel like they know where we are. We let them know, this is where we have complimentary underground parking. Where are you coming from? Let's get you here. Let's tell you where you can be. This is a little bit of an overview of what's going to happen when you come in. So they feel like they're comfortable. When they come in, we give them a salon tour. How many times have you gone for a visit somewhere and you're thinking, all right, I have to use the restroom and I don't really know where that is, so I don't know what to say. And so we give you a tour of the salon. This is what you can expect from us today, right to the very end. And when they're finished, we thank them. Then we do a follow-up after to see how they're doing, to see how did you feel about that. If you're happy, would you be willing to leave us a review? If you're not happy, we call right away. If there's anything less than the state of wow when people leave, I call them personally. And I'm like, what can we do to make this better? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many people come see you. It doesn't matter how big you are. You make one person unhappy, you failed.
Okay, so let's go there. For example, there is an unhappy customer client and they're exiting. They no longer want the service, not because they didn't like the cut or the style or what the service that you provided, but they just don't want it anymore. So we're not going to make it very confrontational in this scenario. The experience that you want them to have as they exit, what is it and how do you keep that? Because you've got a high level of brand. People know your businesses, people know you, and they're exiting. They're not going to probably come back. How do you keep that level? Because you've had people that have come for one time, but they are raving fans, even though they haven't come back.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I can tell you a story of somebody who left that was upset. And she was upset because she waited too long. And she got up and wanted to leave. And we had done everything that we thought, like she had walked in, they had said your service provider is going to be, and I don't know if this is your question, but I think that this is still important, but
yeah,
that she said your service provider is going to be a little bit late. And so then she sat there and waited. Her associate sat and talked to her for a long time and, visited with her and the whole thing. The service provider was taking long. The guest wanted to talk about retail, wanted to talk, like it was just taking a lot longer. I was at the other salon because they're both in the same strip mall. So I walked in, I saw her. I make a point of introducing myself to every new guest. I kind of leaned over because I was in the next station about to start my guest. I leaned over to try to make eye contact. I couldn't. So I went back to what I went to do and, I'm keeping an eye on everything. The service provider finally came over and said, I'm just going to be one more minute. Please, let me know or whatever she said to her. The woman then said, can I please move my car? And I looked over and I'm thinking, why isn't she in the parkade? And I said, absolutely. Did you know that we had complimentary parking underneath? And she said, yes. She said, but I parked up front because I didn't want to disrespect anyone's time. And she goes, and as a matter of fact, that's what's happened here. I'm leaving. And she got up and started walking out. And the whole place was like, it was like 911. Like this was like, and so the service provider was like, I am so sorry. Whatever. And she was like, nope, I want nothing to do with this place, and started walking out. Then she realized she forgot her jacket, came back in. So I said, I'm really sorry. I said, I'm Wendy. I'm the owner. Please, can I talk to you about this? She said, nope, and walked out. And so we all sat there and I just said, all right, everybody finish what you're doing. Cause like we had guests in our chair. We all finished our next guest. We went upstairs and I said, all right, everyone talks about what happened, of what they did and how they can be accountable. I don't want to hear, well, she should have done this. She should have whatever. Everybody talks about what they could have done differently. And there was 5 of us in the conversation because anyone who touched her was responsible. And we all went around about what we could have done different. Mine was, I should have, when I made eye contact, should have tapped her and said, I'm Wendy, I'm the owner. So she knew that she could feel safe. She was beside me. We did that. I finished. I went and I phoned her. She didn't answer, of course. I phoned again. She didn't answer. So I left a voicemail saying, we are so incredibly sorry. This is 100% our fault. We've all discussed what we could have done better. This is not who we are and what we stand for. Please understand that this is not, and if we can make it better. I then text her again and left the same message. I left you a voicemail. If there's anything that I can do, please let me know. She called back, I'm going to say 3 hours later, and asked to speak to me. And she said, I was so mad when I left. And she said, but I have never had someone go so far out of their way to let me know that I was valued. She goes, I left feeling like I wasn't valued. I felt more valued than I've been anywhere else. I said, let us make it up to you. She came back the next day, had her hair done, and left us a review.
Let me kind of break down the points that a lot of people can learn from you. Because step number 1, there were some maybe missteps along the way.
100%.
Step number 2, so you identify there were some missteps.
Yes.
Step number 2 is you didn't go after the people who might have did those missteps. That you went and said, everybody is accountable and responsible for the experience. What could you have done differently? Yeah,
and everybody had something to contribute to that.
Wendy, do you know how many business owners just say, we lost a customer. Fuck it. Who cares? Get him out of here. Let's move on. Let's focus on who we have because there's money here versus that money that never even came in the door because they were just sitting around anyways. What you have done is leveled out the playing field for your teammates to say, I am important to everybody's experience, and it pushes it up.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal pieces of information that business owners can get. This is why you're at the top of your game, why you're a leader in your industry. Now, when you look at that as an example and you look at what your team has evolved to over the time, what are some of the things that you would give advice to business owners so they can level up, so they can do better from just this example alone?
Humility. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've had my business for 23 years. I would be considered I'm a celebrity hairdresser. I've made a name for myself. There's not 1 ounce of me that doesn't feel like I should always be in service, of service, not just for the people who walk through the door, Faisal, but to my staff, to my team, to everyone. And I think that we need to understand that as long as we are in the service industry, that's exactly what we're doing. And so every single person that walks through the door, whether it's staff, whether it is a guest or anyone, our moral compass is everyone leaves feeling heard, feeling respected, and feeling beautiful. And that's literally what that's like part of our core value. And I think that when people start getting a little bit comfortable of, what, we're doing really well, it just doesn't matter. Because we could have said to that lady, we told her she was running late. She could see that Liv was running late. It's not like she was doing anything else. We tried to say sorry on the way out, but it was like, nope. What people forget, that woman saved up her money. She took time off work. She probably Googled 50 million hairstylists, told her partner that she's going to get her hair done, and made plans after. And so that's, you can't take that lightly. And I think that people lose sight of that, especially once they become more well-known or they start getting traction. But for us, it's always day one.
I have to tell a story to everybody about you and I'll go back to during the pandemic. I'm going to paraphrase the conversation here because it was a while ago. In the midst of the pandemic, of course, I am having my, at the time, 13-year-old cut my hair before I get on TV and before I do a show like this. And Wendy, you sent me a note. You sent me a note saying, Faisal, when you're in front of a camera, you have to show that you are respectful, professional, and in appearance that people can trust you. Basically, you what I heard from that message that you sent me, and it was a DM. It wasn't like she picked up the phone and called me. She sent me a note, and it was, it made me realize that people are looking at things that I don't look at. I never really pay too much of attention to my hair, as you can tell. There are not a lot of things that I focus on from that perspective, but I didn't take the view that you had until you mentioned it. We weren't doing business together.
Right.
We were not working together. I wasn't paying you. You're not working with me. But you felt the need to say, hey, here's a bit of advice for you because it can help you. And damn, did it ever.
Aww.
So if anybody is watching this, Wendy, her entire team, the values, the morals, and the thought that she just wants to see influence, have an experience, and beauty is absolutely correct. Wendy, if there's anything else that you would share with a business owner that wants to get into your industry, what would you recommend them to do?
The biggest part of my success has come from knowing that I can't do it all and that there are people out there that are good at what they do, and surround yourself with those people. Like, I see you in the morning when you guys do your thing on CTV Morning Live and I'm running on the treadmill. I always turn it up because I'm like, they know what's going on in that industry. So I'm like, if they say it, I need to hear it. And so your industry, I'm not good at. So I'm going to go to you to find out how to be better. So when it comes to owning a business, find out who is good at what part of that you need and then lean on them. And find people like me. I would help any new business owner that wanted to open a hair salon. I will tell them everything. I don't have any secrets. Learn from my mistakes, but just be open and know that times are changing. And so we have to change as well.
Now everyone can understand why you're a serial entrepreneur, an international hair fashion designer, and a successful woman. Wendy, thank you for joining us on the Karmali Exchange.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching the Karmali Exchange. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also follow me on social media at Faisal Karmali, where we can continue the business conversation.